Cool. So right hand wise, we talked about how, as opposed to current technique, the thumb's going to be parallel to the string as much as possible, and your fingers are curled. Not to the point where your wrist goes like that, still straight wrist. And then those curled fingers enable us to have sort of more of a eye pull away from the instrument movement. Cool. So before we even start putting bass notes in, you're just going to learn the high part. And that's what your left hand is going to be doing. So here we're kind of learning the left hand part. So first it goes, and that's the only time. So you see me doing that with my index. It's because like I can. You'll probably, barring you'll probably just use your middle finger. And so the whole song, these two fingers are going to be chilling there, and there's just that one note. So do use your middle finger. We'll just be like. So we're going, and so these two fingers right here are going to be there the entire time, not moving, this and this. Cool, so we're going, stop in your practice and just get good at that. Cool, so again, that was just, cool. Now let's add the bass notes. So just be sick good at that, including probably you're going to get to, okay, I've got it, do it 2 more times after that. We can make that like a rule of thumb. Because people are really thematic and repetitive with their playing, where you're like, oh, I accidentally learned the third part by learning this, though this song's a little all over the place. In the next section, we're going 3rd string, 1st string, 3rd string, 1st string. So it's like, so let's just do that a few times, looking at what's going on. It's like your middle finger was here, now it bails out, and you might just be like, or that we're going to use, which is like open, regular D, pinky. So just do that or something to show you this, and then your left hand's like, okay, that is what I'm going to be doing. And it goes, we're going 3rd string, 1st string, and it goes open, 3rd fret, regular D. So that's what you're doing right now, is just going until it actually gets easy. And I don't mean doing the first thing and doing that, I just mean going. Cool, so there, stop and do that. And now let's put them together, and it's okay if you pause in between for the first couple times. So part 1 was, so there we are. Here's a little slower. So stop and just get sick at that. You're just like the grand wizard master of this. The reason we're doing this is because this right hand technique's not familiar to you. Also, the bass line is syncopated, meaning it's like in weird spots as opposed to just being on normal, like, I don't know, like boom, boom, boom. It's composed. Cool. So now let's get. So there we are, and you're at 3 minutes of your recording when this happened. I'm gonna make a note at the bottom. Bottom of the page that says 3 minutes. With the bass notes is when that starts, if you want to skip to it. Okay, cool. So, this is going to be, it's like a rub your belly, pat your head on a unicycle thing. You can't do a thing like this by ear, so you got to, like, just do what's on the page, and know that the right thing's going to come out. So we have our first section where we went, there's bass notes so that's 4 notes. There's bass notes with 2, 3, and 4. So it's like, so that's you right now, just going. And you can totally do this a couple times when we're first learning something. F rhythm is our motto. We talk about memorization, then playing. Allow for the I'm just showing myself the dance step so that I can dance step, where it's like completely just like however long it takes to execute it the first time, no big deal, versus like looping and attempt at it over and over again. Anyway, you figure this out on your own, but it's not intuitive, and we'll talk about this stuff once. Cool, so there we are. We were just going. Great, section 1. And now we were going. And the bass notes are pretty random here. The first 2, no bass notes. Then we play bass notes with the next 2. So it's like. So let's do a little subsection there and just go. Practice a couple times. So right now you're up to the 3 on the 1st string. And then before you move on, so you just get sick of that. Right now you're becoming the grand wizard of going. And then before we move on, string that together with what you were doing previously, allowing for a pause in between at first, and that's going to sound like... Again, that was... Cool. So get really effing good up to there, and then back to the high part, which you already did. Cool. So then we just went, and then we're gonna go just a high note. That's our whole thing. It was. So, and then there's extra bass notes at the end. So part 2 with the bass notes goes. So without doing, get good now at going. Excuse me, I have to practice it. Cool. So stop, get sick of that, and then put it together with the whole. Now this is the first time we're trying to get up to the entire thing once. Allow for one where you kind of stagger through it, but also just, you already learned how to do all this stuff in subsections. So just go for it. You can probably do this on the first try or third try or something, because at this point, theoretically, you're already good at doing both parts, and we've done it in little sections. But here's us. Excuse me. And this is tricky. Pattern you've ever learned, so it won't seem like a big deal. It's interesting. So it's good you're doing this, but there'll be a lot more songs where it's just like, boom. But there we are. So we were going high, both, high, both, high, both, bass, if that helps. Cool. Anyway. Extra bass notes at the end. Our ears used to hearing this boom, boom, boom. That starts with the very last one. So it's like cool. So there we are. Yeah, it does a few times, but you're gonna get really good at doing it once, super slow, before you try to do it consecutive times. And then when you go to do it twice for the first time, allow for there to be a pause in between, even if it feels like, but I know how to do it. And then, 2-3 times, and then go for, I'm going to do it 2 total times. And this is the important part of what I'm saying right now, is 2 total times is the goal. We know in the song it goes 4 or 5 times, but before we want to try to loop it, you want to try to get it twice successfully, because that pretty much shows you what you're going to do when you do it another additional 2 times. So yeah, it's 4 times in the song before it switches to G, so you're going to now do the whole thing twice, and then do the whole thing a whole bunch of times. And that's your ultimate goal for this lesson, is just to be able to go loop that thing even a little slower than normal would be fine, which I'm going to try again because it's hard. Or just, it's hard to feel if you know what to do normally. There it is. We talked about tuning and just deciding to know the names of the open strings, like meeting 6 people, or this is the country of guitar, this is the city of EADG. It's just be sure. And the key thing is to quiz yourself on it like it's a geography test, because you don't only want to be able to think about the second string being B by relying on going E, A, D, G in your head first. So after you learn them in sequence, just so first you're just going E, A, B, G, B, E, memorize it. And then, quiz yourself on it. Be like, okay, which one was D, which one was E? And just grouping them out of order like that, it'll actually go into your long-term memory versus, you imagine just memorizing them in sequence. You'd have to think about E, A, D, G to be allowed to think about how that's B, key step, underemphasized. You've been guitar lessons.